right. So, uh, yesterday I printed this guy. You can sort of see him. It's pretty dark. Dang it. I broke the blade when I was taking the supports off. So I had to go. I'm gonna. It broke too easily, which is pretty normal. You got to make sure that doesn't happen. Things have to be solid. So I thought, I'm going to go back and I'm going to make that thicker. But once you go back, artistic OCD kicks in. And I'm like, what else can I change? Right? What can I add to this thing to maybe even make it even better? This is typical stuff. Artists do this crap all the time, right? We can never let it go. So, last night I did do some changes. I want this pattern, this thing on the back of the jacket, to be more pronounced. It's got to be more visible. It doesn't have to be, but I would like it to be more visible than the way it is right now. Right now, it's dark. It's dark here. You can sort of see it, right? It's there. It's not like it's not there, but I want it to be more. So, yeah. That's how it goes. So, and once you decide you're going to do one thing, you're like, well, I'm going to have to do all the supports over again, right? I'm going to do the 3D setup all over again for the printing. So I might as well take advantage of it, and do what I can at this point. I'm even debating putting a line that goes down the side of the shirt, like the seam of the shirt. You know what I mean? I'm not really sure what kind of seam that would be. I got to look at the guy. Most shirts don't. I think some shirts do. They have well, that's a jacket. I don't know. It'd be nice to have something there, right? I mean, maybe I'll try it, and if it doesn't work, I'll not do it. But I'm thinking I'm gonna try to do it. But I also did a couple other things. I want to add some mud on the back of the shoe, and I want to add mud onto this arm. Because correct me if I'm wrong. Somebody pull me aside here. This is kind of cool. I like the fact that this is dripping off the side of the figure. And so I want to add a little bit more of that. So, yeah. So this is kind of how I sort of do it. I make the shapes, and then I'm going to distort them and blur them up in when I start to sculpt them, right? But this is sort of to get the geometry kind of where I want it, and then take it from there. It would be nice to have some mud on the arm so that it feels like it merges with the ground, the mud ground, yeah. 3ds Max has a really cool feature called placement, where instead of moving stuff like this and trying to get it in place, sometimes you can do this and it just warps. It doesn't warp, but it kind of places it right on the top of the geometry, right? Which is really cool. But the big point is, yes, I'm making changes, which is really nice because I think it's worth it. And then B, the fact that this came out so cool, and I was like, you know what? This is a game changer, that people can make these and sell them to their fans, whatever your book is or whatever your thing is, right? To me, I'm doing it in my house, okay, with one machine, right? One machine, I can actually produce figures like this and paint them and ship them to people. To me, that's pretty cool. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm kind of making changes and adding stuff. I mean, right now on the figure, I have this support right there. It's this sort of to connect, to make sure he's connected to the base in a very solid way, right? This guy is not going to go anywhere. He's totally solid. That's actually really important. And that's always hard to do with figures. So the fact that I was able to figure it out with a good pose with this guy is a big deal. So I might add some mud on top of that. So maybe the mud will drip down the guy's post kind of deal. I went back and I made, not that anybody would even notice, okay, but I would notice. I made it the soles of his shoes thicker, right? Because when you print them down to this size, you don't. It ends. You see it. I mean, it's there. It's not like it's not there. You can see it, right? Okay, stop. Right there you go. Bang. So you can see it. It's clear, but I want it to be a little bit more clear, especially because that's the bottom of his feet. That's the base, kind of the grounding of the figure to some degree. So I went back and I added that. Made it just a little bit thicker. And then what else did I do? I think I made the rings of these gloves a little bit thicker. I added some hair on the back of his head a little bit, just to have, just to make it a little bit more, add a little depth to it. You know, I mean, to me, it's worth it having that stuff there. So you don't want to get crazy with it. You don't want to ruin what you got, right? That's lesson number one. So these are actually splines I'm using. I'm moving around, and yeah, they're great for doing stuff like this, right? They're not boxes you have to do a bunch of work with. They kind of bend with however you pose them. So I love using the lines. They do have extra work you have to deal with, but it's totally worth it. Like something like that. You're like, Matt, stop working on it. It's enough. You did enough. It works. Aren't you happy? Well, yeah, I'm happy, but I want to up my game on every level whenever I'm doing anything. And so, it's an obsession. All the artists are obsessive people, right? Otherwise their stuff wouldn't be so good. So it's that obsession is what makes everything, what drives people, what drives artists. So yeah, something like that. All right. So let's stop that. Make sure that's working. Okay. There we go. All right. Good. Okay. I'm going to save it, which takes a little time, but it's worth it because you're screwed if you don't save it. What's up, Mrs. Good Stuff? No, well, I'm going to print another one as a proof, right? Before I sell these figures to whoever wants them, I want to get the actual perfect one down. So I'm tweaking it a little bit. I added, I don't know if you saw me talking about this, but I made this more pronounced, this pattern on the back of his jacket, because it works pretty good. I mean, it's not bad, but it's like it's hard to see. It's hard to see. You can see it, right? You can see there's like pattern there, but it's not as clear as I want it to be. So because I'm OCD crazy, I went back and I made all these lines thicker, so maybe they're at least twice as thick. So to me, it's worth trying. Maybe there's no way to really make that really work, but I want to see if I can. Because it is a pretty thin design. It's not exactly super bold. So yeah. So, and I'm gonna add some mud down here. which is crazy, but it is what it is. I can't help it. I got to do it. I don't know how much I'm going to sell them for. That's actually a pretty good question, Mrs. Good Stuff. They can't be too cheap because they won't be worth doing. You know, but I want to make a point that it is worth doing, and they're not going to be crazy expensive. I don't know how many. What the fuck? All right. I gotta fix this. Look at that. Look at that. When I tweaked the shoe, this changed. So I gotta change it now. Um, anyway, so I don't know what I'm gonna sell them for. If anybody has an idea about what they think, I could sell them for, I would be open to that. Okay. But yeah, so oh, I see. I got you. That's what this is. This is the converted to mesh thing. Right. Son of a gun. Dang it. I won't explain to you how I made the stitches on the side of the shoe, but I didn't make them normally, how you would normally do them. So I did it through a process that 3ds Max has. So right. I've got to tweak it a little bit to get this to work. Anyway, yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm changing it, which is crazy. You don't change it. What are you changing it for? But if you saw the first sculpts I ever did, I think I might have showed them. They they're good for being first sculpts and everything, but I'm so much better at it, and the only way you get better at it is being this kind of crazy compulsive. It's just there's no all the artists are like that, and you really have to be self-motivated to be better. Actually, you know what? So I don't know. People really want to know this, but yeah, I definitely will. I want to mark it up, but I also it's a thing. The thing is, I can't. I'm only one guy, so I can't print. Let's just hypothetically say 6,000 people wanted figures, right? Which is not going to happen. But my point is, I'm incapable of doing 6,000, right? So if I price it out to a certain degree, it's going to have to match my ability to meet that demand. You know what I mean? So what that is, I can print one a day, maybe 2 in 3 days, or 3 in 2 days. Yeah. Yeah, well, I tell you, yeah. I think that's an important factor in stuff, in all kind of artwork, where there is a that's I never realized that about that movie, right? Where there's more to it than the surface level. And I think something like this, it's nice where people get it, and they over time they discover more stuff. I think that's a cool quality in my mind. I never noticed that you put that. I never noticed that that thing happened in the story. Right? There's more to it than I thought. So I personally like that, and I think that applies here too. So okay, so there we go. Now I can adjust this thing. So it not. I like to say you guys might not want to know this information, but one of the cool things about this program is that it's you can stack effects one on top of the other. So like the line I just did, I put it on this little modifier. So let's just say I wanted to not do that. I wanted to go back and change more stuff. I can turn that whole thing off, right? I can turn it off. So it gives you latitude when you're working, you know, and also because it's a lot of work, and what you don't want to do is back yourself into a corner, right, where you can't go back and make changes. So that's a nice thing about programs like this. Um, so let's see, let's see. Right, that's too much. Um, the other thing about um, doing artwork on that's different when you draw it with a pencil as opposed to doing stuff um, digitally is the undo button. I mean, the undo button's just so helpful, and you become addicted to it, right? Because it's a great tool, but you can't do that. Undo means erase. That means go through a process, and it's just not quite the same thing. That's better. So yeah, so if I said, hey, you know what, I screw that. I don't like this is getting too warpy. The shapes on the things are getting messed up. I can turn it off and I can do it again. Right. What's up, KK? Um, yeah, so you get addicted to it, and every medium's different. Like oil paint, you can do it forever. Yeah, but you can't do that with other forms of paint. You know, um, so it is what it is. Let's see. I don't know why that's working. But the second you go back and you start changing stuff on a project like this, it's like a can of worms. You open up a can of worms and things get tweaked, and it's nothing's ever simple. So when a client says, "Can you just do that small thing and change it?" Like, yeah, I can do that. But you know what's going to happen, right? And they're like, "Well, don't do that then. Don't make all the changes and everything else." Yeah, but it's kind of a domino thing. It's a domino thing. And yeah, you wouldn't know it unless you got into it, because it's, it's not a logical thing. Making art isn't totally logical. A lot of it's from your inspiration or from your gut kind of a deal. So you end up, you know, my gut says that thing looks weird now. So I'm going back to change it. And it's just something we all deal with as artists. Um, there's that phrase, tell an artist you like it and you can ensure that they're going to change it, right? It's kind of a truism sometimes. Oh, looking better. You know what? It's this these stitches are so small on the figure. Okay, it is if you stitches on the shoe. I'm doing stitches right there on the shoe because that's so mega important, right? I mean, come on. This has got to breed mental illness doing this kind of stuff, but it is what it is, man. You know, it's just crazy. All right, that's much better. Um, other side. What's the other side look like? Yeah, that's working. Okay. So before I'm going to save it. So this file is actually pretty big. 3D files can be pretty massive. Photoshop files can too. They can be like gigs. I don't know how big this file actually is, but I can look. But it's yeah. Right now it. Oh, okay. Okay. Um, it's about 900 meg. Yeah, so it's pretty big. It's not exactly small. So it takes time when you do it. Okay, so let's do that. So I already made this bayonet deal thicker. Um, so that's going to be. Thanks, KK. I'm glad you like it. Um, And I also added reinforcements in this thing. Not that, it's a thing I like to do. You can't see it that well. Um, I added this little hook. It's gonna, so when it prints, there's gonna be more of the bayonet inside that shape, this shape right here. So that way it's double reinforced in strength. Um, this thing I want to make a little bit larger, even if it's unrealistic, because I want that to be as strong as possible. Um, and that looks good. Okay. So the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to make all these mud things one. I don't want to import all of them and move them around. So I'm going to just connect them all together, or at least all the ones on the arm, right? I'll make them a different color for now, just so I know. And then this one here, I'm gonna make that all one too. Just no, like that. So I'm gonna call it foot mud right and arm mud right. Okay. Yes. So open up Mudbox. Mudbox was made by the people that did Lord of the Rings. In the Hobbit, I think they made it for the for when they created Smog. That is my understanding. And I won't go through a tutorial with it, but well, the arm isn't here. Oh, there it is. That arm is in the wrong position. Son of a gun. Okay. Well, let's see what happens. Because I moved the arm when I added when I changed the base, because I wanted the arm to bump over the edge, which is kind of cool. So once I changed it and I rotated everything a little bit, it's different now. So right, and you're gonna see that when I load this in. It gets complicated fast. It's headache city sometimes. Let me tell you. So I'm gonna delete these. Oh, and I'm gonna bring in the new one, right? And I'm also gonna bring in this peg. And I'm only gonna, it won't let me. I guarantee it's gonna take everything. But let's see. Let's see how it goes. Let's try that too. Uh, so if these things are connected, it's gonna try to pull them all into Mudbox together. Yeah. It gets crazy, man. It gets complicated. And there's versions. You want to save your versions of things, right? Because you might go back to them, see how it lit everything up. That fucker. Right. See, it has all that stuff. It's not the end of the world, but it's one of those things where you like to keep these files, clean. Um, so let's do that. And all right. So here's the mud. There's the shapes. They're in the right position. And now I'm going to start just moving them around and stretching them out and making them into the mud. And it's a little tricky. It doesn't always go the way you want it to go, right? But that's okay. That is okay. You get the idea? And some of this stuff, when I do it, I think a lot of artists are similar. Um, but my method about doing things, especially if I don't know exactly what I want, just to do it. Once I realize that, just do it. And then if you don't like the way it worked out, then that's not an option anymore, right? So like I'm gonna have the mud drip down the side of this thing, right? And maybe I think it'll work. I think it'll be pretty good. But let's just say hypothetically it isn't, then I'll have ruled that possibility out. You know, I know for certain now I'm not gonna do it that way. And that's at least that's a way to always move forward because let me tell you something, you're gonna need that way. And I like the fact that this mud wraps around things and drips down things. It's just one more nuance to the thing. And I think that stuff adds up. That's always been my take, most artistic things, it's like when you add the drawing with the inking with the color, it all adds up to something awesome, right? Yes, that's going to be a cool shape. So what I'm going to do is do this like this, and then I'm going to I'll show you, not that it'll change your life in any way, right? But these are getting stretched out. These lines inside the model are getting stretched out. It's getting blown out on the camera. So that's not a good thing. Eventually, I'm going to end up making a version of that is not. They're going to be laid out all evenly like the shape next to it, right? So Mudbox has a cool way of letting you redo those kind of things, and I use it all the time. It's so helpful. You'll see. And so I can also, at a certain point, I'm going to make it a denser model. I'm not doing that yet. I like it thicker, so it's easier to move around right now. But eventually, I'm going to make it denser so I can get more detail. That's kind of how it works. Right? And you can soften it like that, which is cool. Very helpful. You can do a lot on the bottom of the screen. You'll see there's a lot of buttons down there, and those are different types of brushes. Right now, I have the grab brush, which is basically grab onto something and just pull it, and it'll go in the direction you want. But they also have like foam, pinch, right? They have fill, which is these things, they pop when you need them, right? You don't normally use the fill, but sometimes it just won't work otherwise. And you're like, yeah, that's actually perfect. Okay, so this is a good instance where I want to make this branch over, give it a little integration. This is what happens when you go back, man. Once you go back, you're like the Pandora's box. It is open. You never stop. Maybe I want to do it with the contour of his muscle, right? A little bit like that. And you see how I don't know if you can see, those those edges are getting stretched out. So that's kind of what I was talking about. Yeah. And I will get rid of that. That's the thing. So I'm going to end up printing this figure tonight and seeing, it's going to come out pretty good. I think I've got all the things worked out, assuming I don't flub the support process in the 3D printer, which is always possible. Let me tell you. You wake up in the morning, you're like, what the fuck? Right? And you have to go back and Sherlock Holmes the thing to figure out why it didn't print. But I don't think that's going to happen here. I think I've been pretty mindful about how it's going. So, right. You kind of get that. So those shapes are all the same size, which is not a good thing. So it's nice to have variation for people to look at something and there's variation in the sizes. It's like that kind of with all kinds of art, and it looks more organic and real. And I want to wrap this thing around this arm. Like that. Maybe I could, should I do it? Maybe I can stretch it even more like that. So it'll go down 2 levels. No one's going to notice this stuff. Let me just tell you, no one's going to notice it, Matt. You're going to be the only person that says that mud on there looks really good. But it's just the way it has to be. There's no way to move forward without being this way. Right. Right. I just saved because I don't want to do it all over again. Right. The dripping down thing is actually pretty cool. So I'm going to do more of it. It'll help me make these things stop. It'll help me make these things look more organic. Right? Something like that. Something like that. Let's make this one drip too. Whoosh. Right. And when I smooth it, it's going to come back up. Here we go. That's starting to look right. That's not too bad. I'm going to have to subdivide it soon. See, this is looking all spooty. There we go. I can smooth it, and it looks good. It's got to look more drippy, more like that. Right. Okay. Let's see. I don't want them all to be the same. So I'm going to have to. All right. I'm going to use this bulge button, this bulge brush, right? Sort of see how that works. I want to make sure these are connected to the shape below when I print it. So, yeah, got to do it like that. And these don't have to be anything. They just have to be into the shape below it. So that's connected. So I'm not worried about how they look, right? Right. Okay. What's up, KK? Thanks for coming back. I'm sure your quest for understanding 3D is being fulfilled. It is for people that don't do it. Some people find it crazy, like they don't. It's not something they're ever going to have to learn. Some people probably find it fascinating, the process. Most artists that draw comic books, they could do what I'm doing right now. They couldn't do the technical part because they haven't spent years trying to tinker with it, but the artistic part of it they could do. If I put a figure in front of them and I said, "Here's how you move it around," most artists that do comics could make something right away, right? Without even with 10 minutes of tutorial, right? They could get into it pretty easily. Right, so there we go. Is that too much mud? Yeah, thank you. Everybody's got like a weird thing. I think that's too much mud. I think that's going to be too much. Most people have like a creative side, and then they also have like an technical analytical side. I'm not a technical person. I only learn kind of what I have to learn. I think this is too much mud. So I'm going to pull some of these below. Smooth it out. This is a case where I don't even know what I want. I just want to do it, find out, right? See what I can come up with. So I'm liking the idea that the mud is sculpted around the contours of the shape that it's on. I think that is actually a nice feature. Um, Something like that, right? But yeah, so you kind of just have to try it and see if it works. If it doesn't work, then do it a different way. Um, it is time consuming, I will say, but you know, if you say, hey, so if you point, if you give somebody a goal and say, if you walk in that direction, it will get done. To me, that's a golden thing. Even if it takes a long time, you know it's going to get done. You know it's going to look really good. So to me, that's the way I judge it. Um, all right, this guy here is weird. So maybe what I can do is maybe I can wrap him more around the thing. See, I don't want it to be the same shape as this one over here because that's just boring. Um, so let's see if I can. Maybe I'll make this one really thin, right? Like a drop of mud that's really thin. Maybe that's better. I don't know. Maybe the length of it is wrong too. Maybe this one. Yeah, that's what it is. This one I can draw down like that. So that it looks different than the one to the left, right? I like that. That's better. It's not perfect yet, but it's better. It looks like cheese or something right now. Maybe it's too far. Too far. Right? Something like that. That's just too much. That's too much. Um, it's an art form, not a science. Right? So, um, yeah, it's going to take what it takes to get it done. It is what it is. And this one, let's raise this one up a little bit so that it looks completely different. Like that. Maybe I can make it more, it looks like taffy right now, right? Maybe if there's like a drop like that. Ooh, way too much. Once I get the shape, I'm going to go back in and put these kind of fluid mud type things on it. But getting the shape right now is the priority. I'm not going to waste my time with details until I get the overall thing where I want it. And this is mud, so it can actually look like anything, right? It's not like I'm sculpting a person's face or something. That's way harder. Getting the face on this guy was really tough. But I did it. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wow, that actually looks close. Close is actually close to what I was aiming for. I wasn't aiming for absolutely dead on. I kind of don't want that, but I want it to be. Yeah, I think I know who that is. and that's enough. It's funny when I was looking through the photos of the guy in the doing research for this, I noticed that his expression is kind of the same. It's kind of the same on most of the shots I found. Squint, he's a squinter, this actor guy, and uh, his mouth never really was like clenched or anything, right? Or wide open either. It was always like this kind of open deal. There we go. I'm gonna make this wrap around the other side of the screw. There we go. See how that works? Bang, pow. It all falls in line. That's cool. Let's see. Yeah, we're much okay. Much better. Much better. I like that way better. Maybe like this. Like that. I'm kind of thinking I'm gonna have to add a bunch of small mud, right? See how this snowballs? It just snowballs. To make things work, it's crazy. You end up going crazy. But yeah, I think I might add small little specks of mud on top of it too, right? So so the mud shapes aren't all these blobs, which is what they have to be, but you want it to be different and break up. So um yeah. See how that works? Way better. There we go. Starting to work. Like that. Little maple syrup type of approach. Seems to be really paying off. I didn't know I would do that, but it's working, so I'm doing it. No one's going to look at this stitch next to this thing. It's going to be like an invisible micro detail, right? But, it adds up. Down, up like that. There we go. Yeah, I love 3D modeling. It's so much fun. It's a different ball game altogether than doing 2D stuff. They both have their pros and cons. I mean, with stuff like this, unlike drawing, for example, with pencil, I shouldn't say that, but you are at the mercy of the software to some degree when you're doing 3D stuff. You can't do what you can't do, and you have to abide by the rules of the software, right? So you have to know those rules and whatnot. So it's a little bit different. I mean, pencil's look what people do with it, right? It's crazy stuff. But yeah, it's just 3D is a different ball game altogether. So, well, I'll tell you something. 20 years ago, I would have called you insane if you told me I would be doing this. And now that I'm doing it, it makes total sense. Total sense that I'm doing this, right? It makes to me it's like perfect. All right, this guy here, I'm going to pull a lot of him into the shape so that we have I'm going to actually use a bunch of small spots that pop out that look like it's right. This looks like it's just a little bit, so the shapes look different. Like that. Smooth them out. I don't want everything to be the same shape. So, wow. Right? Stuff like that. There's nice mud shapes. It's getting crazy. This stuff right here, this is crazy. This is not right. It's intersecting in a weird way. And it's going to print strange too. Stuff like that, right? Small little blobs. Right, like that, a little bit of that. Right, so at least there's different shapes now. All right, so I'm at this stage. It's not totally exactly where it's going to be, but what I'm going to do now is tell Mudbox to remake the model and lay out all the vertices equally on the model. So anything that's stretched out now won't be the vertice wise, they won't be stretched out. And I want that. It's important for the model. Tell you what, before I'm not gonna let go and do something like this. Break it up a little bit so it's not the same, right? Something like that. I mean, starting to like that. This one needs to be blobby at the bottom and thinner in the middle. Okay, that's not going to work. Something like that. I mean, to me, that mud starting to make more sense on the model. It doesn't look bizarre. It's got to fit. You have to read it right away. The person should not even think about what that is. That's the goal when you're doing this kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm in the process of writing Shadowpunk #2. I keep on doing other things. I moved here. I moved to a different state, so I had to put it on hold while I moved. That's a weird looking one, but you know, you write a comic book, you learn so much, right? I wrote the animated movie, and I learned a lot from doing that. Yeah, that's much better like that. And then I did the comic book, and I'm like, okay, I can wrap my head around how this medium of comic books should work. I mean, clearly, reading comic books and writing them are two different things, completely different, right? And so I never really bothered figuring out how comic books are written, right? You just, as a fan, you just accept it. Yeah, this guy should hang down like that. Maybe I should do another one. Yeah, I'm doing another one because I have this one over here. Yeah, I'm going to do this one like that. Right. Okay. Close enough for right now. So I got it kind of where I want it, right? But these edges, these are way stretched out, and it needs to all look like this. Well, you can't see because of the freaking camera. It needs to look all evenly spaced, like these ones over here to the right. So I'm going to save, and then I'm going to tell it that I want to do that. I want to rebuild a whole new geometry. Yeah, I'm going to now it's going through the process of doing that. It's going to make a super mega high res version. But it's going to make it's got to make 4 different stages of of detail when it rebuilds a model. And so it's doing that right now. Um, you can actually, one of the cool things too is you can use, it has a tool on here where you can shape the direction of those vertices. So you can say, and you're going to need that when you do 3D modeling, if I don't know how to really just describe it to somebody without showing them, but you need to be able to control the direction of how these vertices are laid out in the 3D model. So yeah, it's important. I think what I'm going to end doing is popping it up more on top of that thing right there, which you'll see. Here we go. Okie dokie. There we go. So now it's mega detail right now. It's super dense model, and I don't need all that dense. Actually it's a detriment to have it right now. So you look at that. I'm going to go through and smooth that out like so. Is there anywhere else it did that? Oh yeah, I see. There we go. This is not uncommon. Let me just tell you. But it's also a level of density that I don't need. So I'm gonna go down to 2 levels. It made both these, so I'm gonna delete that. Right. I mean, that's still pretty dense. I don't even think I need that much, to be honest with you. I think that's just way overkill. Go down a little more. There we go. I think for right now, that's more than enough. Okay, so now these are all laid out. More uniform would be the way to say it, right? Nothing's stretched out anymore. Okay, so like that. Way too much. Here we go. Little mud for you. Yeah, I want that to be touching, I think. Yeah, I'm gonna want that to be touching. So let's do that. And let's bring it back. Right, now it's touching the other models connected, which is super important for stability. You don't want that thing cracking off after you 3D print it, right? So that's why you do that. And the trick is you do not want to have a model that has 50 billion vertices. The poly count has to be low. The lower, for what you want to get the minimum amount of poly count is what it is to get what you need. So you don't want to overdo it. So I've seen ones that are just massive. I printed one once. I downloaded it and I was like, this is insane. The artist just went freaking crazy. Okay, right, there we go. And this kind of thing is working really good. Doing something like that. Right. Something like this. Right. So this mud looks chunky. It's got a chunky look to it, which means it's low res right now. So when I finish, it won't be. Okay, hold on. There we go. More like this, right? And more contouring. No, let's do it. All this stuff adds up. And watching me do it is like, what the heck? But when you're done and the figure has it all on there, it's worth it. In my book, it all adds up. Right, there we go. Holy crap, it's already 57 minutes. Dang. Time flies when you're gibbering. Yeah, when you do this, when artists work on books, when they draw or they paint, you look up and a couple hours have passed by. That's pretty normal. You're really in the zone. Okay. This guy here. Let's make him thinner. Like all the mud's slowly dripping off. Yeah, like that. And then let's add a pool of it right here. Like it's pooled up. Right? That's a cool feature. It'll match this guy over to the right too, which I think is an awesome thing. Like that. That is going to work out good. Okay. And I want it to be a little bit more like gravity is working here, right? Something like that. Gotta be flatter. Right? Stretch it out again. Gonna have to redo that. Right? Subdivide it. Yeah. Something like that. This thing is fucking killing me. Go away. Go away. There we go. There we go. And yes, now I see it. It's got to be that way. Got to be that way. Right? Am I crazy or am I crazy? It's going to be cool like that. Let's add some down here. So that it connects to the base. Yeah, like that. That's better. I am saving every minute or two because if it crashes, I lose everything. Right? See how that's chunky? You can sort of see the problem. This is typical stuff, typical 3D problems, right? Just subdivide it and keep going. Right. Something like that's probably that's way cool. I like that. Time does go by fast when you're on YouTube. I'm like, what the heck is going on? All right, here's another problem. From this side, because I'm drawing from every angle in reality. So this thing is like shooting off, and it shouldn't be that way, right? It's got to be more like gravity actually works. Let's do that. That's a little closer. It's crazy, man. But yeah, you know, when I was working on the face, trying to get the face to work, I would get it what I think looked right from the profile, and then I would go back to the front, and it's all not working. It's all screwed up looking. And I would go back to the front and fix it, and then the profile will be. And you had to go back and forth, and that's just the nature of the beast of 3D. You want it. It has to work from every angle. Um, Part of the thing with 2D, when I was like drawing my comic book or whatever, or when anyone draws a comic book, you can draw whatever you want, and it doesn't have to be real, right? It has to look real, assuming that's what your book is. So you get the luxury of not okay of 2D, right? So 3D is just different ball game. I mean, that's actually pretty good. I mean, that's starting to work, right? That looks like mud dripped all over him. And it was boxes in the beginning, right? So I think that's a victory right there. So right, so this is still mega shell. This is all shardy looking. It looks weird. It doesn't look smooth. I'm gonna have to go back and fix that, but that's okay. There we go. Sometimes you probably can't tell from the stream. See, that's kind of cool too when there's a blob. My computer, which is extremely fast, my PC, I got 128 gigs of memory. It's still catching up. It catches up. So it takes a lot to run stuff like this. All right. So I've got that. I'm going to re-topologize the thing again so that it's all laid out smooth. Done this a zillion times. I've done this kind of stuff so many times, re-topologizing, you know. You kind of, in my mind, in my personal point of view, just like drawing, because people are so good. Because people are so good at what they do, you got to do it all the time. You have to live and breathe the thing that you're doing. And that's the only way that you get really good at something. You can't, most people cannot be like dipping their toe in this thing and get good. That's kind of my theory about being an artist. You have to live and breathe it. And this way, I'm thinking in 3D, right? And then, like, if I'm working on my book, I'm drawing stuff, coloring, right? Coloring alone is an art form. And that's, you start thinking, you've got to think not like the average colorist. You got to think like the colorist that has so many nuances that it adds up, and the color choices add up to make the book look good. All right. Now let's see. So the old one's gone. Now we have a new one. Right? Excuse me. Right? See, it's way too mega. Way too mega detailed. 1, 2. I'm going to delete 2 levels of detail because I don't need it. And we'll see how it goes. See if I can smooth this stuff out, which I will be able to. No problemo. That's still way too much detail. I think that's too much. How much is it? It's way too much. 200,000. Forget that crap. Right? That's 50,000 is probably better. That's better. Let's see what that looks like. Here we go. There is your mud, alive and well. So I'm going to do this just so we can see it. I'm going to export this. I'm going to call this arm mud. I'm going to import that into 3ds Max, which is 3ds Max is my main program. It's your main hub. Here's these little things. We don't need them right now. And so this is where I keep all of my final versions of the model. Right. See, that's way better. If I go to clay, you can sort of see it. There we go. You can sort of see it hanging off the thing. I mean, that's working pretty good. That's exactly what I wanted. All right, now these guys. First of all, let's save. Okay. Still saving. Still saving. There we go. That's good. This thing, I want to send this over. Let's see, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to disconnect it from everything. Okay. I'm going to convert it to a poly. You don't need to know what that is. And then I'm going to send this back to Box. Right? Ball. There it is. All right. You can also paint in Mudbox like you do in Photoshop, and you can paint directly on 3D geometries. I could show you that. It's kind of actually pretty neat. Let's see. Yes, save it. Okay. Super like quick deal. Here's a basic head they give you. And Mudbox is a sculpting program where you can move 3D around like clay, right? Kind of like that. You kind of get the idea. And you can do this which is how I make some of the things. You can do it to this degree, to a crazy degree. And that's how you get really complicated looking models. But Mudbox, you can also paint. And the way it does it is that you hold an image, whatever that image is. It's been a while since I painted. And you can, yep, you can paint directly on the 3D model, right? You can rotate it around. Let's say I get another model. Let's say I get something more realistic. Not that. How about these? And I'm going to tile it out so you get a thing. So you can sort of see what it is. You can hold, what you do is you basically hold a texture in front of a 3D model. And from that point of view, you can paint. You can get that texture directly on the model. And what you would do is you would go around or something like that. That isn't how I would do this, but you get the point. And then you can also just plain old paint for people that want to do that. And sometimes you do. You paint directly on the 3D model. Okay. You can change your colors just like any program, right? So like that. You can make your brush harder or softer. The whole deal. Like so. Stuff like that. It's so when you do it in Mudbox, just like Photoshop, like on the upper right here, you see this is a layer. You can add another layer, and you can use that to do other stuff. Let's say on that layer, I wanted to add grass. Let's say we're doing the absorbing man or something, right? and he's changing between phases. So this is on another layer, you've got the grass. And so now if I want, I could turn that layer off. I can dissolve that layer away halfway. And you can also add masks just like you do in Photoshop. And you can use stencils kind of things where you can, it's exactly how you do it in Photoshop, right? So here we go. I'll show you real quick. Make this black. So anything that's black is going to disappear, right? You get the idea. And anything white is going to go be part of the mask. You get the idea. So Mudbox is a sculpting and a painting tool. So it's pretty cool. This is 2007 Mudbox, 2017 I meant. So there's the newer versions. I bet you they're way better. They probably have a way to create geometry inside Mudbox. If they don't now, it's ridiculous if they don't. But you know, sometimes you have to wonder about these companies, what they do and what they don't do. So, to me, I would have that because I know ZBrush has a way to generate and create models, super cool ways of creating models because you're going to need that when you're doing that kind of stuff. So, all right, let's see. Let's add this on here. Let's blob this up. Make that kind of drip. This guy's going to drip down maybe a little bit. Blob it up. You get the idea. And it works so well in the arm. It's going to work really good on here. Let's subdivide it. Get a little more detail. Make it this thinner, make this thicker. Like that. Right? It's kind of working. Here we go. Right? Grab it, pull it down. You can, I think you can see it. The way the vertices are getting stretched, right? So that's something I'm going to have to fix. There we go. See, this guy's hanging off there. Look at that. Look at that. Who the hell designed this thing? Tell you what, make it half off the shoe, half off the sole. I like that better. Like that. I don't know what that should be. Maybe this one shouldn't be so much like that. Just like dirt on the back of the shoe. Maybe that's better. There we go. And you sort of get the idea. Save. Save early, save often. Yeah. I don't even know. I like that it's hanging, but does everything have to be hanging? I don't think so. Something like that. I don't know. Pull it around. Maybe. Let's see. I don't know. Kind of neat. Little weird shape on the back there. Pull this into the shoe. Okay. Okay. Oh. That's what happens when you grab the wrong brush. Like that. Pull it in. Right? Something just something different. I know the making mud on the back of this character's shoe is the most dramatic thing we've ever seen, but in a way it is. It is kind of cool. It really is interesting to see how something like this works. Right? Something like this. I like that it's broken up. Yeah, it's I don't know. Stupid thing looks all the same. Maybe a big one. Maybe a big blob of mud. Maybe that's what it needs. I think I'm the Don Ross of 3D. That's what I am. We're going to have a little ball of mud in your world. All right, take care, KK. Thanks for stopping in. Here we go. I'm the Don Ross of 3D. In your world, you can have mud here, you can have mud over here. No one's going to see this. I think your eye is going to look at it and go, it looks like it should. It's going to register as correct. The mud's going to register as being part of a real world type of thing. And I think you're not going to look at the details of it, but that's good. That's a good thing. That means that it works, right? That's okay. Kind of driving me crazy, right? All right, let's retopologize it because it's getting too stretched out. Bada bing, bada bang. Sometimes you're doing super heavy models and you're retopologizing, and they might take a long time, right? They might, to make a brand new one where everything's evenly laid out, it takes a long time to do that process. This shouldn't take that long, but it should be done in a couple of seconds here too. 86%, 87%. There we go. Bang. There we go. Scroll down here. All the separate pieces. Here it is. All right, that's pretty good. 49,000 is a decent size. More than enough, I should say. Let's see. Still doesn't look real though. Starting to work, but it doesn't look real. Right, because it'll run together. Which is okay. Right? Something like that. Okay, it's way too strong, that brush. But you get the point. Okay. Just something doesn't, it's not wrong, but it's not right. Yeah, see all those ones at the top look the same. Here we go. Now it's going crazy. Now these are merging together. I guess that's the way it's going to go. I guess that's how it is. Taking control now. I don't even know what it's doing. Okay. Maybe this one could, like that. I mean, is that the worst thing in the world? I don't think it is. Right? I think it kind of works. No, stop. Stop. Maybe a little bit of this, a little drip, little stuff like that. Maybe add a little dimension to it. There we go. I like that it covers up that peg, even though you never notice it on the figure. I just like the fact that there's a cover up going on. To quote Jack Ruby, right? All right, so this guy over here has got to be Blobby. Otherwise, he's just a spit image of the other dudes. So I'm gonna go down to the bottom, make it really low res, right? Something like this. See, this is the same size as that. I don't want that. So I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do this. Make it run down the side of the shoe. A little bit more logically. Maybe that's the thing. I don't know. Huh. You know, it's not like it's gotta be perfect, but it does have to look like it makes sense. Even if nobody notices it, I'll notice it. I'll fucking see it. No, that's too much. Too much. Too much. Here we go. Maybe one blob. Huh. Is that still too big? What the fuck? I don't know. But oh, no. The riveting world of mud. That's what we're doing right now. The riveting world of mud. Nobody knew it was so riveting until now. It's not bad. That's not bad. Something along the edge of that sole. I wonder, let's see if I can flatten that. That wouldn't help. I don't know how to do anything. All right. Let's select it. Let's retopologize it because it's all stretched out. Bang, pow. Still going? Mm-hmm. Okay, we got a brand new model. Let's check it out. There it is. Yeah, it's freaking massive. We don't need it to be that massive. Let's delete those top layers of. See, even that's crazy. Yeah, see, that's fucking crazy. You don't need it to be that big. Something like that. Yeah, okay. It's better. So you can also do layers when you sculpt, which is kind of cool. I don't always do it, but when it comes in handy, it comes in handy. So I'm gonna add another layer up there. Anything I do on here, I can erase, which is pretty sweet. Flatten it out a little bit, right? Add a little, just a little dimensionality to it, like that. Flatten it out here, like that. Try it like that. So forth and so on. Let's see. Stop. Okay, here we go. That's better. I like that better. There we go. Huh. Maybe it could, yeah, I could contour up the side here. Something like that. Something like that. I mean, that's pretty good, you know? Um, no one's gonna see it, but I'm gonna see it. Something like that. Is that drip too long? Is that what the deal is? Anyway, okay. Okay. Let's put it in back into 3ds Max. Okay, let's save it so we don't lose it. Let's import it. Ooh. Hmm. Right. I gotcha. Oh, Something like that. Something like that. Okie dokie, time to end the stream. That's an hour and a half. That's kind of crazy. Anyway, thanks for everybody for stopping in and checking it out. I'll have another one at some point with an update. Hopefully by tomorrow, I will have printed the new figure, so we'll find out. Anyway, thanks for. Oh, there's Fanta. Right as I'm finishing. Have a good one. I'll see you.